it's Michelle, and I had a really cute idea for a springtime card that I wanted to show you guys. You guys may remember my embossing that I did on my packaging acetate, and I had that raindrop pattern, and I really want to use that in a card. It's April, and I always start to think about April showers in the early springtime like that, and I really wanted to make a raindrop card. So I'm going to be using that, and if you guys didn't see that video, I will link to that here, and you guys can watch and see how I did that embossing on the acetate. And I created an A2 size card base with just sort of a gray blue cardstock. I thought that would be really pretty to kind of play up that dreary rainy season. I've got some black glitter paper here, and what I did here was just take a piece of the glitter paper, and this is just some that I got at Walmart. I actually got that on clearance, so if they do still have that, I'll try to find a link for you guys. But if not, any black glittery cardstock will do. And I just took a piece of that that was the size of the front of my card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I took my unbranded rectangle die, and I just centered that up on that the best I could and taped it down with a little bit of painter's tape and cut that out so that what we end up with is a frame. And then I've got another panel here that I can use later on another card. And I plan to layer that on there, cut out that front of the card base as well, and then we can sandwich this in between there as our little rainy window front. And inside of the card base, I'm going to be using some of my Miss Sparkle & Company that I got on my anniversary craft haul, if you guys saw that. And I got this beautiful watercolor paper pad, and I chose this light gray color here. It's sort of a dreary, rainy backdrop, and a light color that will show up the shadows created by that embossing. So I'm just going to go ahead and tear that out, and we'll use that. There's another gray page in the darker color if you wanted a really dreary, but I didn't want to go quite that dark. I'm also going to be using some of my easy 3D die cuts from European Papercrafts to go on the front of my card. And from Walmart, I've got some of these adhesive backed gems in a raindrop shape, and I thought we would add a few of those to our card to accentuate those raindrops. So the first thing I'm going to do is to cut out my card front here with my window just like the frame has. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up and get that lined up the way it's going to go on. So now I've got those taped together without going inside of my window cut area here, so that I can get that lined back up in there just the way it was when I cut the glitter piece. And then I can add a couple of pieces of painter's tape to that, and we can cut that window in the blue piece lined up just perfectly. So I'm going to bring in my Cuttle Bug, put in my A plate and my B plate, and my card front. Make sure that that is opened up so you don't cut through that back panel. And now I'm going to run that through, and that should cut out the window in the blue part as well. And I cut down my gray watercolor piece to 4 by 5 1/4. Looks like we peeled off some of our color there. We'll have to try to fix that. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this into the inside. And I'm going to use my Craft Bond glue stick. Just be sure you get pretty close to the edges on that so everything holds down nicely. And then we can just center that up on the inside of our card. And now the gray sky is what's going to show through the front window of our card. So now we can take our rain piece, and I want to cut this down a little bit smaller. Right now it's exactly the size of my card front, and I want it to just barely overlap my window there. And I'm just going to cut that kind of free-handed. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. And now we can adhere that on top of our blue frame, and then we'll sandwich that in with our black frame. I think I'm going to use some glue dots for this. That way I'll know that it's going to be strong enough to hold that acetate. And let's see if I can cut these in half. Or if you just have smaller glue dots, you can use those. But the glue dots hold really strong. They're stretching out on me. And then just line the raindrop panel up the way we want it. And those glue dots are going to hold nice and strong. And now you can see the way that light colored background really shows up those raindrops. I hope it's showing on camera for you guys. Okay, and now I'm going to take my black glitter frame. And this time I want to bring in my scrap notebook so that I know I get my glue stick all the way out to the edges. Okay, and I'm going to lay a heavy block on top of there while that dries. Maybe my big jumbo block. And hold that down while that dries. Okay, so while that has been drying, I decided to make a little bit of a change. I want to make this a trifold card. So I made another card base, and I'm just going to lay this as if it opens backwards. And that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 when folded. And I cut another piece of my gray cardstock to 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to glue this onto the front of this second card base here. Okay, and I'm going to center this on here. So I decided with this completely open front here, we wouldn't really have anywhere to write a sentiment. So what I want to do is to take this, we can glue these two panels together and have a trifold. So I'm going to go ahead and get that adhered in there. And just layer that right in. And then we can write our sentiments in here, and that can be hidden by this one, still being the backdrop behind our raindrops without having to have any writing show through on that one. So now we can start putting our pretties on the outside and get it all decorated. And I wanted to use my Easy 3D die cut from European Papercrafts. I just thought this bird image was so pretty, and I wanted to put him right in the corner of my card there. So I'm going to use my glue dots again, because we're going to have to adhere to that glitter paper, and that might be difficult to hold with anything else. So I'm going to get my placement figured out just right. I think I can put a whole glue dot down here. Maybe fold it over so it doesn't show through our window. And I'm just going to kind of fold these glue dots to fit behind wherever I need them to fit behind. And maybe one over here underneath the leaves. And I'm just going to roll this one up to the shape of my branch. And then I can just take my scissors and cut off the excess there on the edge. And what a beautiful card that is. I just love that raindrop effect. And I think the one layer is all I'm going to use of the bird there. I do love the dimension that these give, but if you choose to use them in one layer, then you just have multiple uses that you can get out of that. And rather than accentuating dimension on him this time around, I think I want to accentuate those raindrops. So I'm going to take my little raindrop gemstones, and they kind of have glue dot backing on those already. So I'm just going to choose a few places here, and maybe I'll put that where there isn't already a raindrop. That way we have completely flat acetate to stick that to. And I'm just going to keep it kind of random and kind of minimal. I don't want a whole lot of these. I just want them to be an accent. I'm going to go over top of that embossed one there just to get good placement. And to make sure that these stick really good, I'm going to press them down with my bone folder. And if you guys want to add another adhesive, you can. But I think these are going to hold good enough once we press them down really well. They are backed with sort of a glue dot type of adhesive, which is very strong. I'm going to go ahead and put a glue dot behind that corner as well. It does keep trying to come up on me. And the glue dots hold so good. They're very strong. And I'm just going to brush away some of this black glitter with a paintbrush. And actually what I think I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a glue dot behind the bird's head to hold that down. And on the inside, what we can do is adhere the other layer of our die cut right there to hide that. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that with some glue dots too. And that will line up perfectly, covering most of that. So we've got one piece of our 3D die cut left. And I think what I want to do is I'm going to line this up behind there, which really is not going to matter too much in the long run because it's not going to be seen through the window. I just kind of want to give the idea of it being in the same placement. So I'm going to lift this up and put a glue dot and lift this up and put a glue dot. And that is a pretty little decoration for the inside to go along with where you put your handwritten or stamped sentiment. And then close this one just to be the sky behind our window panel. And our spring rain card is done. I think this is just beautiful. So you guys leave a comment below and let me know what you think of my spring rain trifold card. I had a lot of fun with this and I hope you guys like it too. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Give me a like over on my Facebook page and be sure to join our Facebook group, Craftie Minds, where you can share your creations with us too. I would love to see them. Also follow me on Pinterest and Instagram, and don't forget to visit my blog. I'll put the links to all of those in the description below, so be sure and check those out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.